Amazing, amazing, amazing. We're back again with another money mindset call. It is Thursday. It is 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And today's call is very, very special. Today's call, we are talking about another source of income. We're talking about a way you can make money online through an application called Turo. And who we have, guys, as a special guest is one of my brothers, right? Somebody who I seen grow phenomenally, and you guys are gonna learn a little bit more about him. If you already know him, it's all good. You're gonna learn a little bit more about him tonight. Today's format is gonna be more of a Q&A. We're gonna stimulate a conversation of how to build another source of passive income, because this is what we're here about, guys. Having the mindset that one source of income is not enough, right? Having a mindset that once we get the money, we're not only gonna spend it on expenses, but we're gonna look in different ways we could turn potentially a liability or a depreciating asset into something that can make you some money, right? How you can make your money, make more money for you guys, and understanding the basic principles to build wealth. And I'm excited about this call because I seen this gentleman come in and he was basically a product of the product. Before he got that ignition to actually start running, he was a part of it and just kind of on the sidelines. And then he started running. And then he started creating other sources of income. I've seen him change his lifestyle multiple different times and, invest into himself. Take the time to study, take the time to learn, take the time to try different things, go through different risks. And this is why he's getting the success that he's having right now and further success that's going to be coming in the future. But I got my brother, Justin, on the call. Justin, are you there, brother? I want you to introduce yourself to the people. Thank you so much for taking this invitation because you were highly requested. Like this call wasn't planned months before. This was like somebody that the people wanted to hear more from, and we had to make it happen. So Justin, I just want you to introduce yourself for those that may not even know you, bro. And just let's talk a little bit about your story. How you got into the entrepreneur mindset, where you started from, where you currently at right now, and then we're gonna tap into the major topic of tonight, okay?
Yeah, 100%. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, you're good. Okay, cool. Sweet. Honestly, first of all, I just want to thank you, Shaq, for having these calls. Because literally, I was so excited for every Thursday ever since you started this call. Just for the sheer fact that, the system that we were running and the system that we were following to generate money online, I already knew it was going to work. But, to understand where to actually start moving that money, I think was one of the most powerful things that you were able to bring to the table. And, with your expertise in the financial markets already, working in the financial industry, I thought you're literally the secret weapon to everyone's wealth building success. So I can't even say thank you enough to you for really taking the time to really do this for the whole community. And I'm glad it came back. It was kind of absent for a little bit. And I'm not going to lie, I was kind of hurt. This was one of the calls I always looked forward to, other than, always being on Go Live, was because it's we're talking about building wealth and you don't have these conversations anywhere else. And when you try to with, your immediate warm market or your warm network, people look at you like crazy because you're taking a massive risk that they're not willing to take, right? So being a chance to actually go onto this call now and being on it and talking on it is crazy. I'm so used to being on the other side. So again, thank you so much. But yeah, guys, my name is Justin. I've known Shaq for almost just over 2 years now. And I can't say enough about this gentleman. He's literally one of the people that has actually helped me to understand how to build wealth. And I'm really, really excited to continue to always have him in my life. He's one of my two older brothers, right? But the sheer fact that, I'm literally living a whole different life, 2 years after, right? The pandemic, for a lot of people, unfortunately, it turned out to be such a scary thing. But for me, fortunate enough, it was something that actually gave me time, right? Because before the pandemic, I was already working 2 separate jobs. So I had a management position in retail, and then I was also actually working another part-time job as well. I already started to see the whole shift in the retail industry once I saw e-commerce really come into play. All of a sudden, it wasn't really our factories that were actually shipping out all the items. They actually incorporated every single store to run online fulfillment. And for me, I was like, yo, what is going on in this world? They hosted a seminar saying that Amazon in 2017 had 25% of all online sales across North America, right? So to me, I was like, yo, there's a shift going on. So I needed to ensure to myself, like, I was like, how do I make money online, without having to, do like drop shipping like Amazon? Like, I knew there was going to be ways. So my mind was already kind of like intrigued, not really fully tapped in, but it was intrigued to understand, hey, how can I start making money online so that I don't have to work a full-time management position plus work a part-time position as well, right? So I actually just started off looking into the stock market. I think everyone kind of gravitates towards the stock market first when it comes to trying to, use their money to make money. So that's kind of where it all started off. But thankfully, what my homeboy, since I've known, I think he was like 5 or 6 years old, shout outs to you, Sean. I think you're on this call. You got me introduced to this platform, and most importantly, you got me introduced to Shaq, right? So from there, getting a chance to read Rich Dad Poor Dad and understanding the 4 different ways to actually be making money, really, really opened my eyes. And then on top of that was knowing that we use his philosophy in our academy, right? It just kind of clicked. So I was like, you know what? I think I'm in the right place. Even though I didn't do anything for the first like 4 or 5 months after enrolling, just because again, if you're working 2 jobs, one being a manager position, your time is really tied to, your job. But like I said, back in March of 2020, God blessed me with my time back. He literally took my jobs away from me, right? And I was looking, I was like, hey, what do I do? What do I do? And literally, I took a look at one of my credit card statements. I was like, I'm still paying for that education. So from right there, tapped in, never looked back. And I was so happy to go through all these trials and tribulations to get to the point that we're at right now, right? Because, without having to, go through all this time, right? Time stands for things I must experience. I wouldn't be in the position that I am today, knowing that I never have to ever go back to that same job I had. I never have to go back to really trading my time for money, let alone doing it for two different companies. So, that's kind of like my backstory of how we've gotten to here now.
I love it. I love it. Amazing. Amazing. Guys, drop some dollar signs if you guys can relate to what Justin has mentioned. Like you found a way, right? You truly found like you have a gold mine with this platform. For those that may not know what platform we're talking about a Wealth Empire family. We're talking about ways to make money online and being access to learn about cryptocurrency, the foreign exchange market, commodities, right? E-commerce, learning there's another way out. You're working your 9 to 5, you're working multiple jobs, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, guys. You got to make money, but understanding that there's another way to make money as well, too, and multiply your money. Your 9 to 5 is to pay your bills, but it's your 6 to 1 a.m. or your 6 to 12 a.m. that's there to build your empire. And Justin is my opinion, one of the best products of the product. Like there's a lot of people who are products of the product, but Justin is a great example of a product. And he came in, very humble, no ego at all too. Even though he had multiple manager positions at great companies, he's like, you know what? Let me plug in, let me learn this skill set. Let me learn how to trade. Let me learn how to invest. And his mind started to open up. So you guys are seeing the dollar signs in the chat right now blowing up because people feel the exact same way that they found gold. They struck gold. This is their opportunity to create the lifestyle they want. And I promise you guys, once you have a vehicle like this, what we're talking about, more doors start to open up, right? And Justin, somebody said, can you repeat time? Time stands for things I must experience. Things I must experience, the acronym. Understand it's going to take time, but when you're planting those seeds, you're able to bear fruit. And this is what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about how you're able to bear fruit, because I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with this application that we're about to dive into right now. But Justin, I definitely want to allow you to share your story, how you got involved into it, what currently you're doing, and what you currently expanded with, and where you see yourself going with this application of generating another source of income. Guys, because we're here on the Money Mindset call to talk about sources of income online and through new methods of actually generating a wealthy lifestyle, in my opinion, right? So for me, guys, I got started with this application. Matter of fact, let me just go into it a little bit, right? Understand, guys, the way how we look at technology has now changed. Can we all agree? Yes or yes? Right? We're looking at the biggest Airbnb or biggest real estate company in the world. It's called Airbnb, right? Taxis now, I remember when Uber first came out, they were fighting against it, right? The biggest taxi company in the world now, guys, is Uber, right? And for those that may not know, the biggest rental car company in the world is now what we call Turo, right? And this is what we're here to talk about right now, guys. It's called Turo. I want you guys to do your Googles. I want you guys to do your research. Maybe we could show you some visuals on today's call as well too. But it's an application you can download on your phone, web browsers as well too, where you can rent cars and literally drive your favorite car in the world, right? You can literally drive a luxury car. You could drive an everyday car, maybe for you got in an accident. Maybe, right now your car is in the mechanic, right? Maybe you're traveling and you need a vehicle to get you around town, guys. This is an application that makes life easier, where you can just pick up and within seconds you can get a car and drive wherever you want. So I found out about this application, I'm gonna be honest with you, because of communities like this. Why? Because if you truly have big dreams, if you truly want more out of life, right? I know we don't like to focus on the material things, but we need to put ourselves in certain environments to create that lifestyle that we want to attain. We want to put ourselves in that environment of our dream car or what we want to drive. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I was going to an event. I think Alex Martin was in town, and I said, you know what? I had a good couple of months, right? But I want to do something to treat myself. I want to, visualize myself in my dream car. So guess what? I think it was a 2-day event. I rented a car for 3 days. It was a Tesla Model 3, I think 2017 at the time, car. And I'm like, you know what? I got to put myself in that car because one of these days I'm going to own that car, right? That's my dream car. I need to literally sit in it, feel it, and have it for a couple of days. And Turo allowed me to do that. It cost me a little bit. I have to put a little heavy deposit on there because it was a premium car, right, at the time. And, I think I spent like $800 for a weekend, but I'm like, it was worth it. And I kid you guys not, to this day, that's kind of the same car I drive right now. Very similar model I drive today because I was able to, use that car and rent a car through Turo. So I know some people have been renting Mercedes Benzes, BMWs, Porsches, to kind of put themselves in that car and maybe rent it up for a weekend or maybe take a fancy date night. I don't know. But Turo is the application, guys, where it's just like Airbnb and Uber. It's revolutionizing the way how we look at this modern day society, in my opinion, right? Instead of actually, going and going to these car companies and, checking rates and stuff like that, you got Turo and you have so many different options at your fingertip. Now, Justin, this is something that you've been utilizing very recently, and I've seen you grow through this application. I've seen you create another source of income. So I want you to talk to the people, your experience, how you first got introduced to Turo, and tell us where you are right now. All right. I want you to let us know where you are right now, where you see yourself going. 3 kind of quick questions that I want you to tell the people, because you're becoming an expert very, very quickly in this application, making a great source of income on the side.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Honestly, it really started off with my love for cars. Like I've always loved cars. The most recent car that I had before starting Turo, it was a 2009 Audi TT, with a bit of a beefier motor, V6 3.2 liter. And it really started off with me knowing that, 2 people in our community were actually doing it, Shaq being one of them, and it was actually Amanda, who was the other person. And it basically came to, I think, one random day. And I was looking at my car because I had just taken off the insurance to drive it onto the car, and I got it ready for the winter time. Because that Audi TT, I would never drive it for the winter in the 4 years that I owned it. And I really looked at it based off of like, is this gonna be something worth it going forward? Knowing that a car is already a depreciating asset, every kilometer that you drive on it, every year that goes by, it loses its value. So that day I actually took the insurance off of it. I was like, I'm literally paying for something that is continuously losing value. And, with Shaq's experience in real estate, it was the complete opposite. Like you grab real estate, it's going to go up in value. But the car that I had, I was like, yo, I'm literally losing money. And all this information I've been learning about how to actually grow your wealth and grow your money, a car is not going to be it. Like I don't have that kind of lifestyle yet to be, rolling around in that kind of beautiful car. Was it amazing to have? 100%. I loved driving that car. It was an amazing experience to have. But, I dropped my ego. I made sure that, my wealth building was my number one priority. So I actually ended up selling that car very, very, very close to the price I actually paid for it. So I think when it was all said and done, I probably owned that car for about 4.5, 5 years. After selling that car, I probably only ended up paying $5,000 altogether to own it in that amount of time. So it turned out to me, I was like, hey, why did that car sell for so high? As I started to really understand why I want to sell it and actually get into the Turo world, I started to see a huge opportunity because there was an issue when it came to cars and the shortages of cars being created, right? There's a chip shortage that was going on early last year or during the pandemic, the early parts of the pandemic. So vehicles were actually not, or new vehicles were actually very, very, very hard to get, which then in turn turned the used car market to inflate in prices. So that answered my question as to why was my car still selling at that price point at the year and the kilometers that it had. So right then and there, I was like, you know what? There's a huge opportunity for this. You know what? Let me put most of my money into crypto. Let me let it grow in there in that time being. And then when I came across the right car, I went ahead, took my profits out of my crypto portfolio and bought my first car in my Turo fleet. That first car I grabbed was a 2012 Volkswagen Jetta. Nothing special about it whatsoever. It was just my way to be like, you know what? I have a lot of connections in the Volkswagen Audi community. I have friends that work in dealerships. I have a mechanic that's specialized as a Volkswagen and German car specialist. So I knew I was going to be taken care of if I went that route with grabbing a Volkswagen. I was good, right? The biggest thing that I wanted to do was, you know what? I just want a car that's going to get someone from A to B. Something super simple, something that's going to be something that can actually help someone go, say, to the airport, to wherever it is they're going to go. Right. Little did I know there was actually there's a blog that you can find on Turo that does a whole market evaluation for you. So I looked at the 2012 market guide, and it turns out in Toronto, people really book up cars that are just designed to get them from A to B. The first and second place cars in all of 2020 was a Honda Civic. The Honda Civic was the number one rented car in the GTA. The second was a Hyundai Elantra. So when that really started to, click into my mind, I was like, okay, I don't have to spend a lot of money to really get my feet wet into this actual, this gig at the time, right? I started to see, I'm like, you know what? This can actually work. So I grabbed that 2012 Jetta, and then I basically cleaned it the same way I would clean any of my cars. I'm a neat freak when it comes to cars. I will do a full detail before every single one of my clients picks up their cars, interior, exterior, checking everything from fluids to tire pressure, everything, like absolutely everything, right? So when I actually start to see that, I start to see my car get booked instantly. Probably within a day or a day and a half of me listing this 2012 Jetta, this thing just kept getting booked up and booked up and booked up. The first month, it was booked up probably for 3 straight weeks, right? I barely saw the car. When it went to the second month and then the third month of being on there, all of a sudden, I probably saw the car maybe 1 to 3 times max in the whole month. That right there started to open my eyes because at that time we were traveling for business. So I was like, you know what? This is pretty cool. I have rental income coming my way all the way back home, and I'm chilling here on the beach in a pool in Miami, not having to worry about all of my expenses that I'm going to have because I know my car back home is paying for a good chunk of my traveling for business, right? It wasn't until actually probably November, December, which was the true test for me to understand, hey, is this something that can be fully scalable to take to the next level, right? I wanted to see how well it would perform during the winter seasons because during the springtime, the summertime, and the fall time, it was beautiful. It was amazing. I barely saw the car. I loved the fact that it was like every single day come back, the following day, it'd be booked up again. But because I saw during the winter time that there was still a high demand for it during the holiday seasons with travelers, and just for the sheer fact that people's cars do break down and they don't want to pay an arm and a leg for Uber or to actually get a rental somewhere else, I knew there was a huge opportunity to actually get into Turo and really scale it, right? So where I'm at right now is I currently have 2 cars. One's a 2012 Jetta, which is literally like my breadwinner. It's pretty much paid itself off already in the short amount of time I've been on here. And then right now it's just paying off a couple of repairs that I wanted to get done, and to ensure that it's a fully functional car. And I have no stress knowing that when it's out with a customer, it's going to take them from A to B comfortably without any issues, right? So the second car that I actually picked up now is a newer version. It's a 2019 Volkswagen Jetta, right? You guys can see there's a common theme. I love my German cars, just for the sheer fact that if you think of a German car, usually the first thing you think of is luxury right away, right? So that's why I like to stick with that. Also, on top of the fact that I'm well connected in the German car space, especially Volkswagens and Audis. So when it comes to my overhead expenses, it's not even that bad. I get taken care of very, very, very well, right? Because if you guys are familiar with the German car scene, parts can get expensive, and sometimes the labor gets expensive. But when you do that one expensive repair, usually you're pretty good for a very long amount of time, as opposed to like the Japanese car market where the prices are cheaper for parts, but typically break down a little bit faster, right? So that's a big reason why now I have two cars, both of them being Jettas, just for the sheer fact of that, you know, somewhat of luxury feel because it is a German car, but not full luxury into say like an Audi, a Benz, or like a BMW, right? But I truly see myself buying probably one car every single month, all the way up until July. I'm definitely going to be picking up a Jetta, a Civic and an Elantra, knowing that those are the two most booked up cars in Toronto. And then I'm going to actually expand and go ahead and get myself into a Benz. Reason why I want to go in the Benz is yes, because one of my other older brothers, by the name of Andre Gordon, he drives one and he swears by one. So when I was in Dallas, I flew over to Atlanta for a couple of days just to check out Atlanta. And yes, I used Turo to test drive a Mercedes-Benz. First time ever driving a Mercedes-Benz. And I was like, okay, I get it. I get why people love the Mercedes-Benz, right? So that's also going to be on my radar to add going towards the summertime. But I truly want to have bare minimum, 6 to 7 cars before the end of this year, all basically just making money for me semi-passively.
That's what's up, man. I want you guys to drop some fire emojis literally in the chat box. Drop some 8s. Show this guy some love. This guy, honestly, you know, it wouldn't be a call with you if you weren't going to be able to drop any gems. So I want you to do me a favor if you can. On the back end, I want you to show them some gems on that Turo guide that you're talking about in terms of the cars that are most popular. And I want you guys to focus on, while he's looking for that and getting that up and running, your co-host, so you can share your screen. I want you guys to understand what he was talking about. He literally talked about an opportunity. And more importantly, he was able to use one of my favorite words called leverage, right? So he's seen an opportunity with Turo to make money, and he's seen an opportunity not only to trade in his luxury Audi TT and now get one car, but now 2. And I know by the end of this year, this guy's gonna have like 10 cars on Turo, making him money literally in his sleep, literally while he's able to travel and go wherever else in the world that he wants to go, and making money passively, starting his own business. Truly, it's a business now, operating. Cars are on the road. Guys, if he could do it, you could do it too. All right. I was somebody that got involved in Turo as well too, very, very passively. And for somebody on this call as well too, I want you to help people. Let's talk about tips that people can get started with. And I think I want to give people actionable items that they can take away from this call and say, you know what? You know, if I'm struggling right now, I need another source of income. I got a nice car, but I don't drive much. Or I'm working from home currently right now, and I can make an extra, you know, $500, $400 every single month to now cover that car note, or maybe cover insurance. Guys, we're going to show you a cheat code of literally how to create another source of passive income. And Justin's going to go through some gems. This is why they call him, you know, Gems with Justin. He has this whole series going on as well too regarding that. But similar to like Justin as well too, I had a car. I don't really drive much. I'm at home doing calls all the time. I see people who are, you know, single mothers, maybe, you know, pregnant and, you know, can't really drive, or maybe, you know, working from home right now. Like, it's a trend right now with the pandemic where people are working from home. They're not really driving their car at all. Or maybe they have multiple cars in their family household and they don't need their car. Now they're able to make another source of income. Now, instead of a depreciating asset, you know, we're talking about cars that lose value as soon as you drive it off the lot. Now this is an asset that's going to be making you money. And you heard Justin as well too. You know, they went through a car shortage time, and it's good to do your due diligence on what cars hold value. If you want some advice, I want you guys to hit up Justin. You know, his Instagram handle it's Justin, M, his last name, right? Follow him, and you guys can ask him some questions or ask somebody that knows about cars. What cars are great to buy? If you don't have your car and you're looking for your first car, you need to know what cars hold value, right? More importantly, and what cars can you make money with? So, Justin's gonna go through some tools on Turo that you guys can utilize to help you if you want to get involved in this other source of income. All right. So I'm gonna give you the floor back to you, bro. Show us some gems on Turo. I definitely want you to show people how to get started. And yeah, for the average person.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So when it came to Turo, it's like, yeah, it was like a bit of a word of mouth to kind of get started. But like anything that you ever want to get into in terms of like investment or running a business, you always want to do research, and you want to do extra research. You want to do more than you actually need, right? Because there's a saying where I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and have it, right? Or so not have it. So I did extra amount of research. So when I actually came across this on their website, this was such a big gem for me to understand, what is actually in demand in the Toronto area, right? I actually assumed that it was more luxury car, more the luxurious way of living, because, in Toronto, it's one of the top cities in the world. And
and if you're not sorry to cut you off, Justin, if you're not in Toronto, you can look at your local market as well too, guys.
Yeah.
This is not just really for Toronto. You could be in Miami. Certain places, I'm gonna be honest with you, do a lot better than Toronto. But for the most people who are living in the GTA area that are on this call right now, you want to tune into Toronto market or the GTA, your specific city. Yeah, go ahead,
absolutely. Bro. Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm just going to use Toronto as an example because this is the market that I'm in. So finding this amazing document, like it helped me so much to understand what direction I really wanted to go, right? So it gives you like a nice little synopsis of what people really are doing in the Toronto during what was it, 2020, right? Like what are they actually looking for? So it really says, people were still on the go in Toronto during the pandemic. Like people were out and about, they were still traveling because one of the only things you could do at the time was be outside, right? Go travel and go see some nature. Some people didn't actually have the luxury of having a car to go a further distance, or they just didn't want to use their car. So they would rent out something a little bit more on the affordable side in comparison to like other rental companies such as Hertz or like Enterprise, right? On a side note, Hertz and Enterprise around this time, 2020, 2021, their prices actually increased. And I actually found out that a lot of times these car rental companies lease their vehicles to rent out. And because we were all locked in for like 2 years, what had happened was they weren't making money on their leased cars. So they had to get rid of them, right? Which then in turn, the only way that they were gonna be able to be profitable was to increase their prices. Which right away, when I heard that, I was like, this is the perfect opportunity to swoop right in. We can now go underneath whatever price that they were actually renting their vehicles for. And it was happening at such a frequent pace because it's so easy to really get started. So that was a huge hole that I saw in the industry, just because of the sheer fact that, they were struggling. So here's a big opportunity for us, regular individuals, to really take advantage of, something that was lacking. So a little bit more information on this right here, right? This kind of just gave us a little understanding of what happened in 2020. So the average post was earning about $1,200 a month. And, $1,200 a month semi-passively, where all you really have to do is just clean your car, or you can outsource that as well. That's not bad, right? That's not bad.
Listen, drop some dollar signs if you guys can use an extra $1,200 every single month, right? That's an average. So there's some people that are making a lot more, some people making less, but that's the average stats that you guys are seeing right now. I don't know about you guys, but an extra $1,200, I'll take it.
Yep, absolutely. And it's passively too, right? Like I said, you're not doing anything. Like you got to clean the car a little bit here and there. If you really don't want to clean it, outsource it to someone else to clean it. Go to somewhere, go to a local shop and get your oil changes done. Super easy, right? The average trip was basically $148 across 3 days. Very easy to see. You can kind of see exactly what was going on here, just kind of, how the trips were going throughout the years and throughout the months of that year. You can go ahead and see exactly a little bit more in depth of, what were actually being searched versus what was being booked, right? So right over here, you can see, what was being searched, luxury brands. So I was on the right trail, right? Thinking that, people in the GTA and the Toronto area liked their luxury brands. But the biggest thing was, if you take a look to see what was searched versus what was actually booked, it wasn't all the fancy schmancy brands. It was actually more of the compact economic cars. So Toyota, Hyundai, Honda, Dodge, and then eventually, there's one in there, which is Benz, which again, this was a clear cut picture to me of why I want to get a Benz as well to add to the fleet, was because it gets searched and it gets booked. Those are two green flags for me to start looking into finding a Benz to actually put on here, right? So if you actually take a look here as well, you can see what type of categories of cars are booked up most frequently. So you can see the one with the highest amount was a compact car. So something like a sedan, right? 33% of all their bookings were compact cars. In second place was an SUV or a pickup at 20%. And then for a tie, there was mid-size vans or upscale cars, 13% of the time, right? So I wanted to live in here, right here in the compact cars, because that's where most of the cars were getting booked. I'm not going to try to stray away from it. I'm going to follow the trend, right? Follow where the money goes and you'll be making money as well, right? Over here, just a little synopsis again, showing, like Honda Civic, how it took over the Hyundai Elantra. So again, here's two reasons why I want to get a Hyundai Civic and a Hyundai Elantra. They're fighting for the top spot. Of course, I'm going to try and get into the top spot with it as well, right? So it shows you a little bit more, the popular models, just a whole bunch of like amazing resources right here. It shows you the filters, really, really, really amazing resource. And one of the big things I love about Turo is, yes, you pay them a cut, but they make things so simple for you to do, right? Like if you're trying to figure out what car to grab, this is a great start. The next step you can do is there's something called a Turo Carculator, which you can actually go ahead and like do like a random search of the car you're thinking of putting on. Carculator, I think that's how you spell it, something like that. So Turo Carculator. So if there's a car that you currently own, or there's a car that you're intrigued in purchasing, you can actually go ahead and get a rough estimate to see exactly how much you can potentially make based off of the market analysis, right? What has happened in previous years, to see exactly what can happen here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and ask everyone in the crowd, drop a car and a model, and let's see exactly how much that would be, let's say in the Toronto area, right? So drop a car and a model in the chat, and let's take a look to see how much it'll be. Okay, so we got a Mazda CX-50. Okay, I'm gonna go with the first one that I saw. So let's take a look right here. What year was that Mazda CX-50? Did you see a year on there, Shaq?
No, I didn't see a year on there, but just put like 2018.
Yeah, let's see.
Let's see how that looks. Somebody said a Benz C300. Let's do that one after. Yeah, there's a bunch. People are loading up the chats right now. Yeah. Acura TSX 2015 Audi A5.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't see it on there.
This is cool. I personally, I didn't even know this existed. Like I've been using Turo for almost like 2 years now. And I didn't even know they had a calculator. Like this is sick.
Yeah, there's a calculator. Yeah, so this is pretty cool. So I don't have that specific model, but something close to it. We'll do a Mazda CX-9 a 2017 in Toronto. So let's go ahead and click search and see exactly what the average would be. All right, so just for a basic trim, it's showing that this car right here on average would be about $75 to rent out. All right, based off their analysis, it would get booked up just over 19 days. So let's round it down to 19 days for a total earnings of over $1,000. Each day, you're probably looking at $56 a day after you pay your Turo fee, right? So if you own a car, if you own this car specifically, right, an extra $1,000 a month on average, that's pretty nice to me. Again, something semi-passively, and you're good to go. So this is the reason why I want to continue to get more cars, is because if I have, 8, 9, 10 cars, I'm looking at 5 figures a month with those many cars, right? Because on average, about $1,000 is very, 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 very easy to achieve when it comes to renting on Turo, right? So this is an amazing, amazing tool that you can use here. Another tool that I use as well, because I have a strategy where I like to potentially purchase something more on the slightly older side, right? Because when it comes to Turo, to list a car, your car has to be at least 12 years old or newer, All right. So right now, as we speak, we're in 2012. So the oldest car you can do right now is a 2010. Right. So anything 2010 or newer is what's going to be able to go onto the platform. On top of that, what you got to make sure is you have at least less than 200,000 kilometers. So those are two aspects. If you're interested in putting your car on Turo or looking for a car to put on Turo, got to be at least 12 years old or younger and less than 200,000 kilometers. All right. The other thing that I like to do as well is I like to purchase cars that are actually cheaper than their actual market value right now. The biggest reason why I went with this route right here, as opposed to taking on, a loan or like financing. Well, I am financing my newer car just for other reasons. But back to my 2012, the reason why I went with this direction was because I had fears of my car getting totaled by somebody else, right? The reason why I want to buy a car now that's actually less than the market value, because if that car now technically gets written off because of an accident, the insurance company is going to pay you back that car, whatever it's worth. So I looked into my 2012 Jetta, and I actually found out I paid $1,000 less than what the market value was for that car. So if my 2012 Jetta gets in an accident, knock on wood, if it gets paid, if they're going to pay me out, I'm actually going to profit on the car value, right? Does that make sense? Drop someone if that makes sense, guys. Right. So I went that direction because I was like, you know what? If a newer car gets smashed, I don't want to get gypped for not getting my full amount. I want to be able to find a way how to make this thing more profitable. So
essentially you bought low, and then worst comes to worst, if something happens, you can sell it at a higher price. So that gap, you're making profit. That's what's up.
Exactly. So what I use right here, if you're in Canada, it's called the Blue Book. So it's called the Kelly Blue Book. And the Kelly Blue Book will actually give you the value, your current value of your car, if you're going to trade it in. So what the trade-in value is, the private sale. Make sure you do kbb.ca, which is here for Canada. If you're in the States, you can use kbb.com, but kbb.ca gives you the value of what your car is right now, whether it tells you the year, the kilometer, the make, the model, the condition. All of that gets put into play. And this website right here helps you to understand if you're buying a car at the right value, or if that person that you're buying off of is trying to, pull a fast one on you and overcharge you for a car that's actually not worth that price, right? So using this website right here was another great tool for me to find out that, my 2012 Jetta was actually worth buying and putting on to the Turo platform, because I have now peace of mind knowing that if that thing gets into an accident, I have $1,000 buffer that's coming my way, right? I checked it recently, and I think I'm about still $800 above what the market value is. So I'm still about $800 in profit in the year that I've had that car on the Turo platform. So I'm still super happy. This is also a great thing that you can actually use too, because if you decide that, you know what, this car is getting close to its market value, it could be a good time for you to now sell that car, right? And like I said, right now, there's still a chip shortage happening. So the used car market is still extremely hot because they cannot produce enough new cars. So a lot of people are going towards the used car market. There's a high demand. So if there's a high demand for it, you can most definitely increase your price just a little bit more to get the best bang for your buck. But yeah, so those are just some like simple tools that I use to really get me to get to where I'm at right now. And I'm not gonna lie, I did use YouTube University. I found two amazing people on the Turo platform that give you both different perspectives. Whether you want to actually go high end and you want to go ahead and get like say leased cars to put on your platform, or if you want to take the route that I'm taking, where you buy cars that are a little bit older, grab them for less than what their actual market value is, there's that route that you can follow as well. Let me see if I can pull them up on YouTube. Let's see if they pull up right away for me.
Drop the gems, man. I'm pretty sure people, if you're not taking notes right now, you guys are playing yourself. This guy's giving you guys a lot of insight, a lot of information, how to get started. More importantly, some resources to utilize if you're even considering it. But guys, some of you guys are sleeping on assets on your driveway, and you haven't even looked at it like that. You haven't even thought about it as another source of income. So, bro, like, I'm learning some stuff new right now too, guys. I'm taking notes as well. I got my pen and my paper. Like, this is what's up. Guys, drop some dollar signs if you guys are getting gems, if you guys are getting value from this so far. But yeah, definitely give us some resources of some people that you follow, that you learned some more stuff from.
Definitely. So this is the first girl that I actually started to follow, and I liked her route because of the sheer fact that she would buy a little bit older cars and then make sure that they're underneath market value just in case, you know, things happen to that car. I love that theory. I love that strategy. So I follow her to a T. Her name is Aubrey Janik. Her and her husband also have a channel as well called Aubrey and HP. Her husband, HP, is actually a mechanic who quit his full-time job as a mechanic to now run their business full-time. I think they have about 9 to 10 cars on their Turo fleet. They're out in Dallas, Texas. So slightly different, you know, market evaluation, but still similar concept that you can use and strategy that you can use wherever it is that you're going to be, right? So Aubrey right here, I love her content, phenomenal. I believe she does have a course if you decide to go ahead and take this a little bit deeper. I don't use the course personally. I think I'm resourceful enough to understand how to kind of push my fleet forward. The other girl now here that I came across, her name is Seema. So Seema's actually been in the Turo business much longer than Aubrey, and she's gone to the route of using using other people's money, right? Taking out leases, financing a few cars. And in the last 7 years, she's been able to really build up her Turo fleet. So two slightly different strategies that you can approach, two different people that you can follow. I still follow both because I like to know different ways to be making money in this platform. I'm literally just taking a combination of both of their strategies and pasting it all together, right? I like Seema's more approach because she's someone I find I can relate with. She's not lazy per se, but she's very, very, very efficient and resourceful. So some of the things I picked up from her was like, there's certain apps that you can use that you could outsource some of the things you have to do in Turo, like, you know, sending out messages to your clients, finding someone to repair your car on a very quick notice, using some apps to really follow what's going on in the market trends. So I like her approach on the professionalism side, but I like Aubrey's approach when it comes to, you know, how to simply get started in this, right? And I'm just kind of making it my own. You know, if you guys are part of, you know, Wealth Empire, you know, you guys, you know, follow a couple of different educators and make it yourself. Similar concept I'm doing with these two ladies when it comes to my Turo fleet, my Turo journey.
That's what's up. That's what's up, guys. Don't be surprised if you guys don't see Justin on here on YouTube. Eventually, you guys can see this guy's journey as well too. From 1 car to 2 cars to 3 cars to 10 cars. Who knows where, you know, your journey is going to be going in the future, but I'm glad that you're expanding. I'm glad that you're able to drop those gems. I definitely want to highlight, guys, as much as possible, how Justin is just a student to the game. Like, he is a product of the product. He's somebody who literally just jumped on even the money calls every single Thursday and took some of the advice he was hearing every Thursday and made it his own. You know, took it off with the advice that he got and made it his own. Like, I remember one time you hit me up and say, Shaq, yo, I just got pre-approved for a line of credit. I'm like, bro, take that. Like, that's money they're giving you. And because I know you're smart with money, bro, you're able to leverage that money at cheapest interest rate and probably put a down payment maybe on another car. And that's going to be able to make you money. So I want you guys to understand, guys, it takes consistency. You know, it takes creativity, entrepreneurship journey. It may seem glamorous. You're going to go through the ups and downs. But as Justin has mentioned, time, things I must experience. You got to experience it. You got to do your own due diligence in your actual geological location. Guys, this has been so many different gems. You know, continue being a student of the game, bro. Continue dropping it. You guys need to go follow Justin if you don't already follow him. And I'm pretty sure, like I mentioned before, you know, you're probably going to see his journey as he grows this business, a fleet of cars that he's turned depreciating assets and now into cash flowing revenue assets. And now he, you know, even if his car gets written off, guys, he's making money off of that as well too. So very important concepts of opportunity and, more important, leverage, guys. Taking 1, turning it to 2, maybe into 4. Like, guys, that's the power of this, and learning every single week about credit, because I'm pretty sure Justin wouldn't be able to do all of this if it wasn't for credit. And some of the advice he got was from me. I'm gonna be honest with you. So guys, tune in every single week, not only from me, but all the other guests, all the other people who are going to be using this call to share gems. You want to tune into this call to utilize to create another source of income. We got a few minutes left, guys. I'm going to stop this recording because it's been so valuable. But